Good evening, ladies, but probably mostly gentlemen, to BS, the Bachelor show. Tonight I'm going to take you step by step on how to make a spaghetti dinner that'll last you for an entire week. That's why I'm here in the kitchen. I know what you're thinking, spaghetti, how hard can it be, right? Well, it's not as simple as mixing milk with cereal, and so for most bachelors, myself included, that can prove to be a hardship. But don't worry, we'll get through it together. Remember, in the kitchen, cleanliness comes first. So be sure to wipe your hands on something cleaner than they are. Now we're ready to get started. The first of our three ingredients is beef. Nothing's better than processed cow flesh. To prepare it, all you have to do is find a hot surface and scrape the beef on it until it goes from pink to brown. Trust me on this, you want to cook it thoroughly. Cows make poor sushi. It's to do with their udders. Once you have it made, some people like to make meatballs. I recommend against this for three reasons. First, they take a lot of time. It involves breadcrumbs or cracker crumbs and lots of mushing with your hands. It's not enjoyable. Second of all, once it gets past your mouth, they're pretty much going to look like this anyway, so why bother turning them into perfect spheres? Third of all, if you do it right, they kind of turn into little meatballs on their own. That's a good one right there. Very edible, I assure you. Let me tell you, if you've made it this far, the worst is behind you. That is by far the most difficult part of making spaghetti. Now on to our second ingredient, the sauce. As good as that beef may be, it's still not quite spaghetti. We need the sauce, and as any good cook will tell you, a great sauce has many ingredients. Ours is no different. First, a nice bottle of ragu. I have it upside down because once you've used a lot of it, it can tend to take a long time to drain out. So if you turn it upside down, it'll come out in a big deluge, which I'll demonstrate for you later. This is traditional, so it offers traditional flavoring. But we need something else. Classico spaghetti sauce. Also turned upside down to keep it from dribbling out. We want it to come out fast and strong. This is also traditional, so it's a bit redundant, but it does have sweet basil inside, which gives it a little more flavor, a little more robust texture to the sauce. So we're going to combine these two, and you will see the result is amazing. All right, we've added our Classico. Now it's time for the traditional ragu. Deluge. Get it all shaken out there. You don't want to leave any inside. That's flavor. Okay, so there you have it. A nice mixture. Now it's not done yet. We're going to use this whisk to mix them together. You want those flavors to merge, to blend together. It tickles your palate. Oh yeah. I'm getting hungry just looking at it. Now you want to make sure you leave a lot of dirty dishes around. So you also want to use this wooden spoon. It's not going to serve a heck of a lot more purpose than the whisk, but it really moves the pasta or the sauce around, makes it look really delicious, and it makes your sink look really cluttered. So if anybody comes over, they'll see that you made a big mess and they'll think you spent a lot of time in the kitchen. One of the secrets. And then, of course, our delicious meat. If you've eaten it already, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You can make more. In our case, we're just going to dump it in there like that. Dump it in and stir it all around. So now the meat went from pink to brown, and now I want the meat to be red. You want that meat to be saturated in the sauce. Just look at that. Look at those pieces of meat moving around there. Oh, that's pretty. Okay. I mean, you can smell the flavor. Alrighty. Now, spaghetti wouldn't be spaghetti without the spaghetti. So, step number 3, preparing the pasta. Now, I misspoke. I don't have spaghetti. Spaghetti is just a type of noodle or pasta. Any noodle or pasta will do. Anything you find in that section of the supermarket is okay to use. In my case, using medium shells. Now, the great thing about these is you don't have to worry about twisting your fork to wrap the noodle around it and worrying about the sauce flying everywhere and spattering on everything. These, you can just shovel into your mouth with a spoon as fast as you can go. Makes it good for that. Now, do not make the classic bachelor mistake of thinking you can just eat these right out of the box. I know the temptation is just to pour them in with your sauce and go to town, but they taste better if you cook them in water first. Warm water, preferably boiling, and it softens them up, makes them easier to manage. Now what we have here is a perfectly good bowl of cooked pasta. Notice how spongy and squishy the noodles are. Makes them much easier to eat, as I said before. Now, in this case, we're going to have to use a knife to cut it. This is not uncommon. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Okay, and we're ready to cut. You see, it retains most of its shape, kind of like Jell-O, but that's okay. And you just want to get a good knife, a good sized knife, and you're just going to cut a piece of the noodles out there. Just kind of like that. And like that there. There you go. See, a nice piece of noodle slice. And then you're just going to take it here and just kind of crumble it. You're just going to crumble it in there. Crumble it in like that. You might really have to work it with your fingers. It's get a little bit more in here. And the good thing, once you get the whole big pile loosened up, pretty soon it just starts to fall off on there. Just like peeling an artichoke, I guess. Kind of like that. Now we've got our sauce, our meat, and our noodles. And you want to mix them together. Pull out any hairs that may have accumulated during your cooking. And you just mix it around. You want to, again, turn the noodles red, just like you did with the meat. You're going to turn them red. And once you've thoroughly saturated them, it's time to cook. So we come over here to the stove, and the first thing you want to do is check all the dials and make sure they're turned off. You can put your hand over the burners, put your hand in the oven, make sure that there's no heat coming out of there. The last thing you want to do is leave this puppy on. It'll jack up your electric bill. Once you're done with that, it's time to go to the microwave. Congratulations, you're almost there. All that remains is to cook this spaghetti. Now, the microwave is a bachelor's best friend, second perhaps only to Mr. George Foreman. Now, it's very, very important, after you have equally distributed the sauce, the meat, and the pasta. Oh, that's good. You want to make sure to cover it with a piece of plastic or paper towel, because once this food gets warm, it's going to pop. And the last thing you want is for that sauce to pop all over your microwave and make you look really messy. You open the door, set it inside, and for a portion this size, a single serving, you pretty much want to cook it for about 1 minute and 11 seconds. It's going to depend on your microwave. You just have to kind of gauge it as it goes. If you hear it starting to pop, typically that means that it really is warm enough or hot enough for you to eat. But you may have to just stick your finger in there and test it out. So we're going to put it on for 111 and get ready to eat. Now that you've made a fantastic meal, it's time to spice it up with whatever you can find around the house. Experiment. Remember, you made a week's worth, so it might start to taste a little redundant after a while. Anything you can add is going to add a lot of vitality and taste to your meal. Oh yeah. Just dump it in there. You can't go wrong. Be sure to take time to enjoy the meal you just prepared. Don't be afraid to spruce it up a little. In this case, a dish of non-spaghetti spaghetti, I recommend a bottle of red vitamin water to wash it down. Always be sure to be civilized. And just remember to be safe and to remember the BS motto, I'll get used to it. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Fantastic.